paracetamol and... Okay. What's up, everyone? This is Content Corner, and we're going to be talking about episode 4 of Lessons in Chemistry. Okay, so I watched it last night. It says that it comes out on Friday, but I figured out that I think it comes out at 9 p.m. Eastern time on Thursday. So I took notes. If you haven't watched episodes 1, 2, and 3, then this is going to probably spoil things for you and also just ruin the show. So skip to the end where we talk about other things, okay? Episode 4 essentially gives us a recap and then opens up with her having a child. You kind of realize that it's bouncing back and forth between two different timelines of what seems to be her future daughter and her giving birth in the first few weeks and months of being a mom. Remember, she didn't want to be a mom, okay? She didn't want to be a mom, and that's key. I think it's really interesting the way that they shot and portrayed this pregnancy and her giving birth, because it really shatters any idea of what women are normally portrayed to be like during pregnancy. I mean, they showed the pain, they showed the drugs, they showed, the craziness of the hospital. They showed the cliche men drinking out of styrofoam cups in the lobby and the women screaming in pain in the operating room. So she gives birth, and so anesthesia was $45, which I'm assuming, I don't know what that would be like today, but she doesn't have insurance because she doesn't have a job because she got fired, remember, because she was pregnant. But the anesthesia comment of her being like, I mean, if I knew it was that expensive, I would have just made it myself. Classic. Zero emotion, classic line. The nurse comes back, was like, what are you going to name your baby girl? She's going to be your whole world, blah, blah, blah. And then the nurse was like, just name her what you feel. And she goes, Mad. So she named her kid Mad, which is interesting if you think about it. I think this show really did a good job of portraying the ugliness of being a single mom, especially during that time. And I love that they showed her just trying to figure out how to make it work. And she was essentially doing people's chemistry projects and experiments and research and problems and et cetera, of people she used to work with. And she literally opened up shop in-house. Love the fact that she sneaked behind Hastings' back and ordered all new equipment for her industrial kitchen. Also love that she confronted the two people that stole all of her research. And she was like, you're not a scientist. You're a coward. You're a fraud. You're blah, 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 blah. I loved it. That was not only just like badass energy, it was also just new mom energy. I'm a firm believer in the fact that new moms, if they thought about it and tried, could take over the world. The amount of hormones, the amount of rage, the amount of just overall outer body experiences that they are having to deal with birthing another human being, they are literal superheroes. And I firmly believe that they could take over the world. Truly. The only reason they don't is for the betterment of their child. That's my take. But back to the show. I like that they showed her struggling, because she didn't ever struggle. She's the smartest. She tried to treat this kid like a scientific experiment, and Harriet, who I love this friendship, was like, honey, this is a child. You can't. I love the friendship. I love the bond that they're forming. I love that she just kind of allowed herself to kind of take the place of Calvin in his neighborhood. On paper, she probably stands out, but it seems like she's finally feeling like she's at home. Like, you could kind of see it through this episode of like, she was feeling the acceptance. She was feeling like she was figuring it out. She was feeling like things were starting to click. Right? So we fast forward to present time, I guess. So I don't know if we're done with the past timeline or we're going to bounce back and forth now. I'm not entirely sure how they're going to do that. I'm really glad the dog's not narrating. I will say that. When we come to the present, we realize that the daughter that they were kind of showing, like making us think was her daughter, was actually her daughter's friend. And her daughter's name is Madeline. She's this cute little spunky, I love her already. I don't even know her and I love her already. I love their relationship. It's mom and daughter. And I think that's something that really is so sweet to see, because in the beginning she was like, when she had just had her, she was like, I don't have the emotions. I don't have the connection. Not as she said, I don't really care, but she was just kind of like, I don't have this magical moment that everyone talks about. And she had it at this very last scene that we see before it jumps to the present of her baby smiling at her, and you could kind of see it click. And then we see that play out in their relationship of them eating together and reading together and taking notes together and doing all of these things together. And then also is such a badass. Like, I love Elizabeth so much, and I know I'm going to love her daughter even more. But she realized that her daughter was giving her school lunches to her friend, the girl with the glasses that we thought was Madeline, but she was giving her lunch away because she never had like a good lunch. And so then Elizabeth was like, I will handle this. So she confronted the child's dad and was like, you need to be feeding this kid better. Here's chicken pot pie. Here's this, here's that, blah, blah, blah. Good day, sir. That guy was a TV producer who then ran out, jumped in front of her car and was like, I want to make you a star. I want to give you a cooking show. And Elizabeth's like, nah, and drove off. So we see that the show is finally brought into the picture, that she is currently working 2 jobs. She's a single mom. She's putting her kids through school. She is doing everything that she possibly can. And here comes this opportunity that looks probably a little demeaning and a little sexist, truthfully. Like, hey, we want you to be a pretty thing on TV and cook. And she's like, nah, I'm a scientist, bro. Like, chill out. And so I think we are essentially going to continue diving into that narrative, obviously, because that's where we end. Like, that is what we saw at the very beginning. We saw that scene of her showing up with cameras and fans and all of this and blah, 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 right? We're seeing it being introduced to her right off the bat. Here's a few thoughts. I have a few thoughts. I think the guy, the doctor that was like, hey, you're going to be my 2-seat for like rowing or whatever. I don't know the proper terminology, and then was like, I got to go to the hospital, whatever. And then she saw Calvin in him. I think that they end up together. I think the doctor and her either end up together or have a fling. I think that's a thing. I think that her relationship with her daughter, because it's so beautiful and perfect, I think that the TV show is going to strain that. I think that the fame is going to bring back people from her past. I want to know more about her family because she mentioned her brother when she was talking to Calvin, the ghost. Yeah, that was another thing in the episode. Calvin's ghost kept popping up, which I guess was just to like tell her to chill out, which worked. But there's always 1 or 2 things in the show where I'm like, why'd you do that? Like the dog talking, like what? Why the dog talk? And then the ghost, like why'd the ghost keep popping up? I don't really know about that, but I hope it doesn't go down the cliche route I think it's going to go down. I need some twists and turns. Apple TV does a pretty good job of keeping me on my toes when it comes to their shows, but I do know this is a book, and I have refused to read anything about this show, book, anything. I don't know anything about this plot. I'm going strictly off of speculation and watching the episodes week by week. So I'm still enjoying it. There wasn't anything that I was kind of like, meh. The only thing I will say that was a little, it just wasn't believable is that she's like literally doing demolition in her kitchen with a newborn baby. And she's like, oh, the newborn baby has been sleeping for 6 hours. My first thought was, is the baby breathing? I think that's a valid thought. I'm enjoying it still. We're going to keep rolling. We're going to keep critiquing and we're going to keep giving our thoughts. So that's that section. The other thing I wanted to talk about was something that I believe me, Sam, Taylor, and I also think Jess, Jake's beautiful wife, we are going to be reading or listening. We are going to be reading or listening to the new Britney Spears book that just came out. I haven't decided if I'm going to do audiobook or read it because I love a good like hard copy of a book, but I'm also really good with podcasts on like long hot girl walks. But regardless, the book has already dropped so many bombs, especially about Justin Timberlake. The fact that Justin Timberlake has maintained a career in the spotlight for as long as he has and not gotten canceled is baffling. Baffling. Truly baffling. So I know the excerpts that have come out, have said some pretty like crazy, shocking things that, she was pregnant and she terminated that pregnancy and it was with Justin Timberlake and he was cheating on her and it was this whole big deal. And then basically he made the entire public hate her. It was a whole thing. It was a whole thing. Really dark. It also makes a lot of sense now why NSYNC was randomly doing all of this PR at the beginning of October because everyone knew this book was coming out. So everyone was in like overdrive trying to like block all of the like PR grenades that were coming at him. Justin Timberlake, you failed. You failed. I had a TikTok up of NSYNC, deleted it. I don't want any part of it. I never liked NSYNC. I was always a Backstreet Boys type of girl, truthfully. I mean, I liked, bye, but I'm Backstreet Boys all the way. I always have been. And now I feel validated because Justin Timberlake's apparently a dick, whatever. But we are going to be reading that book. So we're definitely going to be doing like a book club-ish type episode in a few weeks, maybe before or after Thanksgiving. So I'm pretty excited about that. We're going to see how that goes. And then maybe we start doing like book club episodes. I don't know. We're doing Content Corner, and books are content if you think about it. That's all I got today for Content Corner. I just rambled for a really long time. You're welcome. Goodbye.